any traffic update, tweet us at Capricorn FM or WhatsApp 082 654 2446 and hashtag Limpopo Traffic.
It's 5 after 5. Capricorn FM Limpopo's artist frequency. I think the moment we've all been waiting for, religiously so, is finally here. The matriculants should be happy and excited. I think I should hoy in a, young air horn there.
Classes in session.
Classes in session, of course. All right, so Kagiso Trust, together with the Department of Education in Limpopo, will be bringing you today mathematics. I can sort of give you a revision or catching up
session,
basically, yeah. Right? And then we are joined here today by Mr. M.F. Marubini, who will be teaching on number patterns and arithmetic sequences. They are here in studio live with us. Arlo Cheng, lekay.
Dimasia Ribo Marubini.
Oh, Dimasia Ribo.
Botwa.
Dotwa.
Deswabodi.
I would like to start by thanking Limpopo Department of Education and Capricorn FM for providing me chance to teach my learners.
Yeah.
Welcome, class of 2020. I am going to assist you in your preparation in mathematics. The topic is number patterns, sequence, and series. It is important for me also to give you marks allocation in this topic. Remember, marks allocation may assist you when you are doing a preparation. If you find a topic with high marks, it means you need more time when you are preparing. Marks allocation in number pattern, sequence, and series is 25. This topic is continuous. There are some of the parts or sections which were done in the lower grades. And I can remind you, you have done arithmetic sequence, geometric sequence, and also number patterns. This part of work, you have done them in the previous grades, in grade 11. Here in grade 12, the only part of work that we have to do, that is arithmetic and geometric series. Grade 12 work, it's arithmetic and also geometric series. The question will not come separately. Therefore, you need to be very, very confident when you approach this type of questions, because it will also be mingled with the work which you have done in grade 10 and also grade 11. Here are the following aspects that examiner may consider when setting question papers. This may assist you when you'll be doing your final preparation for exam or before you write any trial examination. You need to expect questions that will come from arithmetic sequence, geometric sequence, and quadratic sequence. If you still remember, these three sections, you have done them in grade 11. But in grade 12, it's arithmetic series and also geometric series. In other words, examiner will make it a point that you have questions based on arithmetic, geometric, and quadratic sequence, including arithmetic and also geometric series. Remember, the proofs for both arithmetic and geometric series are important for examination. Actually, in every paper, there is at least one question which they say is book work. So make it a point that you go there, you can get any textbook and you revise how to prove arithmetic series and also geometric series. Remember, there is no question paper that may include everything that you have learned in the textbook. But examiners will make it a point that the paper is balanced. So, whenever you'll be doing your preparation, it will not be wise for you just to concentrate on arithmetic, or you only concentrate on geometric, because examiner will include everything that is arithmetic, geometric sequence, and geometric and arithmetic series, including quadratic sequence. And you mustn't forget, in every question paper, you might have noticed that the last question, probably, it could be sum to infinity that has been driven from geometric series. Take note that question paper will always be in different levels. So, whenever you be doing your preparation, remember, there are easy questions that every one of you can be able to get. Especially the questions that we start with, they will be very easy for every learner. You can be able to find them. Make sure that you revise that. And most of those questions, they need a simple stuff like find the next two terms, find the missing term, find the general term. But probably the last question may include the work that we call it a problem solving. Sometimes we call it a word problem. Make sure that you revise all this part of work. For any learner who is serious about studying of mathematics, can never fail mathematics. Why? Because we are definitely sure about the questions that we'll get in examinations. You know that in question 1, it will be solved for X. So everyone knows about that one. So it is easy for you to determine that. If ever you can be able to determine the next two terms in any of the three sequences that I talked about, it means you can be able to get marks. Let me start by revising the work from grade 11. The first part of work, it will be a quadratic sequence. Remember, when you are supposed to determine whether a sequence is a quadratic sequence, you need at least 4 terms. But for arithmetic and geometric, you need at least 3 terms. But in quadratic sequence, you need at least 4 terms. Then, let me just give you one example where you'll be calculating the general terms. It is advisable that you need to write this sequence down so that you can be able to do together with me. Or you can also revise on this one. The first term is 6, 12, 22, 36, and also 54. Let me repeat. You need to write it down. The first term, 6, 12, 22, 36, and also 54. Remember, in a quadratic sequence, you know that the second difference is common. And the first difference is linear in nature. So, make it your point that you must first find the first difference, which will be linear in nature. Between 6 and 12, the difference is 6. You can write that one down. Between 12 and 22, the difference is 10. Between 22 and 36, the difference is 14. Between 36 and 54, the difference is 18. Let me give you the sequence from the first difference. It is 6, 10, 14, and 18. From here, you need to continue to find the difference. Remember, the second difference of a quadratic sequence is common. The difference between 6 and 10 is 4. The difference between 14 and 10 is 4. The difference between 18 and 14 is 4. It means the second difference is common and it's 4. Now, we need to calculate the general formula for the quadratic. How would quadratic be represented? It is Tn is equals to an squared plus bn plus c. Let me repeat. It is Tn is equals to an squared plus bn plus c. We are supposed to find the general term. How can we start? You need to equate the second difference, which is common, with 2a. You write 2a is equals to 4. From there you divide by 2, then you find the value of a to be 2. 2a is equals to 4. Why did we use 4? Because 4 is the second difference which is common. So 2a is equals to 4. We divide by 2, then the answer is 2. For us to get the value of b, remember, we are going to use the first term of the first difference. The first term of the first difference. How are we going to do this one? You write 3a plus b is equal to the first term of the first difference, and the number is 6. Therefore, you write 3a plus b is equal to 6. Then, in the place of a, we have already calculated the value of a, and the value of a is 2. So 3 times 2 is equal to 6, plus b is equal to 6. Then you subtract 6 by 6, you get 0. Therefore, the value of b is equal to 0. The value of b is equal to 0. For us to get the value of c, you are going to use the first term. And you write this. A plus b plus c is equal to the first term. And the first term is equal to 6. A plus b plus c is equal to 6. Remember, we have already calculated the value of a, and the value of a is 2. And the value of b is 0. The value of c is equal to 6 minus 2. And the answer that we're going to get is 4. Make it a point that we also revise this one. We need to write this one in a complete general form. Then you can write Tn is equal to 2n squared plus 4. Then let me give you this one. I hope you're going to do on your own. The sequence is 12, 20, 32, and 48. The sequence is 12, 20, 32, and also 48. Remember, you also have to learn about the geometric sequence. You need to revise since you have done this in grade 11. And you also have to learn about arithmetic sequence. Then, let me also revise with you by giving you what we call the combination sequence. When I say a combination sequence, I'm referring to the sequence whereby there are two sequences together that are alternating. I am referring to the sequence which is formed by two sequences and those sequences are alternating. Let me give you the first example here. The first term is 5. The second term is 5. The third term is 8, 10, 11, 20, and 14. If we check well, these two sequences, that is geometric and also arithmetic sequence. For an example, if we check the first term is 5, the third term is 8, and the fifth term is 11. So if we check them, it means the difference between the two terms is 3. It is 8 minus 5, the answer is 3. And 11 minus 8 is still 3. Then 14 minus 11, still it is 3. It means the first sequence that is starting, it is an arithmetic sequence. But the second sequence is 5, 10, 20. If we check well, for us to get the term that follows, we have to multiply by 2. In other words, we're saying 5 times 2 is equals to 10, and 10 times 2 is equals to 20. This is the combination sequence. But in this example that I've cited, we are including geometric and also arithmetic sequence.
You know what? I see Tubanda there busy all lady sequence. We must quiz her after this.
I'm trying to pick up as much as I can.
All right, so we're going to be continuing. We're just going for a quick ad break, and then when we come back, of course, and Tate MF
Marubini.
and Tate MF Marubini will continue with the lesson for today.
The tailored experience.
So we are talking about the fabric face masks, and we want to find out just what requirements are necessary. We had a chat with Dr. Melinda Sushard, the head of Center for Vaccine and Immunology at the NICD.
It is recommended that the mask should have 3 layers of fabric. It should be quite a stiff material, something like cotton or denim. There should be ties that tie at the back of your head, and the mask should be as wide as possible, covering your mouth and your nose and stretching as far as possible towards your ears. And so every person should have 2 masks, one to wear and one to wash. Just hand wash it and leave it out to dry in the sunlight or iron it.
The tailored experience.
Give it up for the incredible.
With Sekani Shikwambala, 9 to midday on Capricorn FM.
22 after 5, Capricorn FM, Limpopo Artist Frequency, still on Just Drive. Hashtag Kagiso Radio Teacher. We are joined by Mr. MF Marubini today, giving us lessons on mathematics.
And do remember that if you are matriculant and you are at home and you have a question on anything that he's touching on or something else that you've been struggling with, you can send through your question on 082-654-2446. That's our WhatsApp number, and we will make sure that he gets the question and he answers you.
You keeping up so far?
Yeah. Mola le mola.
All right, so you may continue.
No, thank you. So I was trying to explain about the combination of sequence. The first example that I've cited, it was geometric and also arithmetic sequence. And the second one, it is geometric and also repeating sequence. When I talk about the repeating sequence, I'm referring to the sequence whereby it is 2. The second term is 2, the third term is 2, the fourth term is 2, the fifth term is 2. So that I call it a repeating sequence. So in this one, I'm giving you a combination of geometric and also a repeating sequence. The first term is 5, 2, 10, 2, 20, 2. If you can get a question that is asking you to find the next 2 terms, you will know that the answer is 20 and also 2, because we are having what we call the repeating sequence. Then the third one, it can also be a repeating sequence together with the arithmetic sequence. Let me start. It's 5. The first term is 5. The second one is 2, 8, 2, 11, 2, 14. If you are asked to find the next 2 terms, that will be 2 and also 17. Let me also highlight with you what we call arithmetic series. The difference between the sequence and series, it means in series, we are adding all the terms of the sequence. That we call it a series. For an example, if I give you a sequence like this, 5, 8, 11, 14, you know that that is a sequence. But if you want to build up a series, you write 5 plus 8 plus 11 plus 14. It means it is a series. What is the difference? When we talk about the sequence, we are only giving you the terms of all the sequence. But in a series, we are adding all the terms of the sequence. Now we call it a series. I can also refer you this to a bookwork. You can also be able to learn if ever you need a formula. Let me start with arithmetic sequence. I've already told you that for you to prove the formula, it is needed for examination purpose. There are two types of formulae for arithmetic series that we have to master. The first one, it is Sn is equals to n over 2, open bracket, a plus l, close bracket. Sn is equals to n over 2, open bracket, a plus l, close bracket. Remember, L represents the last term. We can only use this formula when we are given the last term. If you are not given the last term, we are supposed to use the formula. Sn is equals to n over 2, open bracket, 2a plus n minus 1d, close bracket. And we are using this one when you do not have the last term. In the same way, we also have two formulae for geometric series. The first one, it is Sn is equals to a, open bracket, r to the exponent of n minus 1, close bracket, over r minus 1. Remember, the one that starts with r, we use it when r is greater than 1. When you calculate the common ratio and you find that the common ratio is greater than 1. We also have this formula. Sn is equals to a, open bracket, 1 minus r to the exponent of n, close bracket. And we divide by 1 minus r. Remember, the one that starts with 1, we use it when r is less than 1. There are 3 ways that you can expect questions from both arithmetic and geometric series. There are 3 ways of which you can expect question that is coming from both arithmetic and also geometric series. Number 1, you can be given a sequence and examiner may ask you the sum of the sequence. For an example, if you are given 5, 8, 11, those are the first 3 terms. And it says, calculate the sum to 10 terms. You are supposed to calculate sum of the first 10 terms. Since you are not given whether it's in arithmetic or geometric, step number 1, you have to determine the type of a sequence. You need to determine the type of a sequence. We need to start to test whether if it's an arithmetic series. T2 minus T1, it is 8 minus 5. The difference is 3. D again, T3 minus T2, it is 11 minus 8. The difference is 3. We've got common difference. When we've got common difference, we can conclude that indeed it is an arithmetic sequence. Do we have the last term? No. What do we do when we do not have the last term? We are going to use the formula without the last term. That is, Sn is equals to n over 2, open bracket, into 2a plus n minus 1d. Remember, the value of n is 10. The value of a is 5. And the value of d is 3. If you replace in the formula, the answer that we're going to get is 185. When you replace the answer, it will be 185. That was the first one. Remember, in the first one, you were given a sequence. That's how you can expect questions in the examination.
All right. Right on the mark.
Thank you.
Like a mathematics teacher would. All right, Mr. MF Marubini, thank you so mumuch. But we're going to ask you to linger around for a little bit. We're going to be taking in some questions and we're going to be having some discussions further regarding what you just talked about today. All right, 082-654-2446 Kinomorarna ya WhatsApp. If you've got any questions for Mr. MF Marubini here, you're a grade 12 learner. We're doing catch up. We're doing number sequences, of course. 082-654-2446. Feel free to ask the questions as much as you like. The hashtag still remains #Kagiso Radio Teacher. Ntamuno Marule is here with your news headlines.
News headlines on Capricorn FM.
Nakensa D. The total number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 have increased with 637 and now stand at 10,652. Social Development Minister Lindiwe Zulu says only 57,763 people were so far found eligible to receive the social relief grant. And Bolsheviks Party of South Africa in Limpopo says 80 Jojo tanks distributed at various strategic points under Ephraim Mohale and Elias Motwaledi local municipalities are without water. Your final bulletin at 6 p.m.
Righty, thank you so much, Ntamuno Marule, with the news headlines. We're still here with Mr. MF Marubini, who's speaking on number patterns and arithmetic sequences. Now, I'm just going to ask a general question. I think in my time in matric, we were not even touching those. You wanted to say something?
I wanted to say I'm lucky enough to be sitting on this side, so I'm looking at his notes. So I can see also there's a bit of stuff that he hasn't gone through, which he had planned to go through. So I think we can give him a bit more time to just cover that.
Okay, yeah, no, if then I'll ask my question after that. So you can continue with maybe the stuff that you had left out, which can put more emphasis into the lesson.
Okay, let me remind you that the first part of the work that I was doing, I was trying to show you the nature of which the question may come in examination.
Okay.
The first one, you were given a sequence. And the second one, you are given a series. When we say a series, it means we are adding all the terms of the series. For example, it's 3 plus 5 plus 7, and the last term is 91. The series is 3 plus 5 plus 7, and the last term is 91. Still, you are not given whether it's an arithmetic or geometric series. You need to determine this one. You need to get the difference. The first term minus the second term. The second term minus the first term is 5 minus 3. The answer is 2. And T3 minus T2, it is 7 minus 5. The answer is 2. It means it has got a common difference. It means it's an arithmetic series. Then we have a challenge here. Do we have the value of A? Yes. The value of A is 3. Do we have the value of D? Yes. The value of D is 2. But we have a challenge. We do not have number of terms. What are we going to do? Instead of going directly, we have to determine the number of terms. How are we going to do this one? We are going to use the formula for the Tn for arithmetic sequence. It is Tn is equals to A plus n minus 1 in brackets multiplied by D, whereby the value of Tn you replace by 91, A is 3, and D is 2. When you calculate, you would find out that the value of n is equals to 45. Then what are we going to do now? In the place of n, we are going to replace by 45. A is 3 and D is 2. When you calculate, you are going to get 2,115. 2,115. That is the second part. The third part, you are going to be given question based on sigma notation. And I hope you know that sign, sigma notation. It indicates that indeed we are adding. So in sigma notation, on the bottom, the value of k is equals to 1. On top, the value of k is the value of n is equals to 100. In other words, we've got 100 terms. But next to the sign, there is also a general term that is 3k minus 1 in bracket. That indicates that indeed is a general term. What else are we going to do here? We are going to replace the value of k by 1. 3 times 1 minus 1, the answer will give you 2. In the same way, when you replace the value of k to be 2, then it will be 5. When you replace k to be 3, it will be 8. In other words, A is 2, D is 3, N it's 100. When you write the formula, when you replace Sn is equals to 100 over 2, open bracket, 2 times 2 plus 100 minus 1 times 3, close bracket. Then the answer that we're going to get, it will be 15,050. It will be 15,050. When you are given a sigma notation, it is not obvious that it is going to start from 1. It is possible that examiner may start with any number except 1 that we are used to. From the very series that I spoke about, let me just assume that it starts from 5. Let's try to visualize this sigma notation. In sigma notation, at the bottom, you write k is equals to 5. On top, you write 100. And the general term is still 3k minus 1. Remember, when it starts from 5 till 100, how many terms are we missing? I think we are missing 4 terms. That is 1, 2, 3, and also 4. In other words, if you are just using a common sense, you can see that the number of terms there, they are 96. But how can you get this one if the number is too big that you can't be able to calculate? This is the way to do. You must say the top number minus the bottom number plus 1. The top number minus the bottom number, then you add 1. In the same way, I said on top, it's 100. On the bottom, it's 5. Then how can you get the number of terms? You write, it's 100 minus 5 plus 1. It means the number of terms are 96. The number of terms are 96. Still, we are going to use a formula. Still, it is Sn is equals to n over 2, open bracket 2a plus n minus 1 in bracket multiplied by d, close bracket. Remember, in the place of n, you are replacing by 96. A is 14. And also, n is 96 and d is 3. The answer that we're going to get here is 15,024. 15,024. You need also to verify this one. Let me remind you that it will also be advisable for you to make it a point that you write all this problem so that you can be able to do revision on your own. Sometimes you can be given a sigma notation where the sum is given but the number of terms are not given. You are given the sum of the series, but how many terms? You have to calculate that. For example, let's visualize this one. It is a sigma notation. On top of sigma notation, you write n. On the bottom, you write k is equals to 1. The general term, it's 4k plus 1. You know that you are supposed to write that in bracket. It is equals to 1652, 1652. The total, the sum is 1652. The total is 1652. What are we going to do here? Firstly, you have to determine the first 3 terms. Namely, in the place of k, in the general term, you replace by 1. Do you still remember the general term? It is 4k plus 1. In the place of k, you replace by 1. It is 4 times 1 plus 1. Then the answer is 5. It means the first term is 5. The second term, in the place of k, you replace by 2. 2 times 4, it's 8 plus 1. The answer is 9. And the third term is 13. Let me repeat the terms. First term, 5. Second term, 9. Third term, 13. The total number of terms is 1,652. So, what are you going to do? You have to determine whether it's an arithmetic or geometric. Of course, this one is an arithmetic series. Then we're going to use the same formula. It is Sn is equals to n over 2, open bracket, into 2a plus n minus 1 in bracket, d, close bracket again. Then remember, in the place of Sn, you are going to replace by 1,652. Then you need to multiply everything here. And then you replace the value of A by 8 and D by 3. You calculate. You would find yourself in a situation whereby you are going to get a quadratic equation, which is given by the form of 3n squared plus 13n minus 5,320 is equals to 0. When you factorize there, you are going to get the first factor. It's n minus 40. The second factor is 3n plus 133. And of course, you can't say the value of n is equals to minus 133 over 3. It's meaningless. It's meaningless. It's imaginary in mathematics. So the number of terms is equals to 40. Maybe to try to analyze, if I send you to go and count number of people, if you come back, you tell me that there are minus 76,555 people, I can see that you know nothing. Then, all examples that I've given, they were based on arithmetic series. All the examples that I've given, they were based on arithmetic sequence. Remember, the question will not only include arithmetic series. In other words, we also have to check the work that may come from geometric series. Then, still, in the first one, I am going to give you a series which is geometric in nature. The first term is 3. The second term is 6. The third term is 12. And you have to add all these terms up to term number 20. I said it's a series. Remember, if it's a series, you are adding. In other words, you are saying 3 plus 6 plus 12 plus, you include with 3 dots. I hope you remember that 3 dots indicates that the sequence continues or the series continues up to the 20th term. So remember, we have to prove whether it's an arithmetic or geometric. How can you do this one? You are supposed to get what we call the common ratio. What is it? For us to get R, it should be T2 over T1. What is our T2? Our T2 is 6. Our T1 is 3. 6 divided by 3, the answer is 2. It means the ratio from the first 2 terms is 2. But we have to calculate whether will we be able to have a common ratio. In the second one, it is T3 divided by T2. What is our T3? Our T3 is 12. Our T2 is 6. 12 divided by 6. The answer is 2. We got 2 as a ratio between the first and the second term. We also got 2 from the second and the third term. Therefore, we can conclude we've got common ratio. If we have common ratio, we can conclude that it is geometric series since we are adding. Let me ask you one thing. If you check the value of R, is R greater than 1 or less than 1? Of course, R is greater than 1 because our R is 2. 2 is greater than 1. Therefore, we are going to use a formula that starts with R. In other words, the formula is Sn is equals to A, open bracket, R to the exponent of n minus 1, close bracket, divided by R minus 1. Remember, all these formulas that I'm mentioning, you will find them also in formula sheet. So sometimes if you just copy that formula from the formula sheet to your answer book, you also get a mark for that one. If you get 0, I can't even understand what's happening with you, because you have to copy that from the book. It's easy. That's bread and butter. Then, if we check here, the value of A is 3. A represents the first term. Correct. Then let's go to R. I said the value of R is 2. Then the value of N is 2. I said that the series starting from 3 up to the 20th term. It means our N is 20. Then what are we going to do? In the place of A, we replace by 3. In the place of R, we replace by 2. In the place of N, we replace by 20. After that, you use your you divide by 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1, you remain with 1. Then the answer that we're going to get, it will be 3,145,725. 3,145,725. So you need to calculate that one on your own, since I can't do everything.
You know what? Spoken like a true maths teacher. Definitely, right? You remind me of my high school days. So it's all good. Here's what we're going to do, right? We're going to go for a quick break right now. And then maybe we can just throw in a few questions.
Yeah.
Remember, if you've got your questions right now, feel free to send them through 082-654-2446. Use the hashtag Kagiso Radio Teacher.
This is a message from the Department of Employment and Labor. Is your employer paying you the national minimum wage? If you are not paid the national minimum wage of 20 Rand 76 per hour, 18 Rand 68 per hour for farm and forestry workers, 15 Rand 57 per hour for domestic workers, and 11 Rand 42 per hour for workers under the expanded public works program, please dial *134*305# for free and follow the prompts. The Department of Employment and Labor, working for you.
Right, Capricorn FM, Limpopo Artist Frequency. It's Just Drive. We brought the classroom to your radio, okay? There is no chalkboard, but there is the Honorable Mr. MF Marubini, who's here, of course, to share with you today's lesson. Now, I did say, if you like to show the on WhatsApp 082-654-2446. And if you know somebody that's currently in Metric or you are in Metric, this is your platform. Your questions are welcome. You can invite others to also tune in and catch up. Of course, hashtag Kagiso Radio Teacher. We continue with Mr. MF Marubini.
There are different questions that you can expect in examination. Now, I have decided to show you one of the questions that is very common in every paper. It is when you are given a series, the general formula for the series. It is Sn is equal to 64 minus 2 to the exponent of 6 minus n. Remember, 6 minus n is at the exponent. Let me repeat. You are given Sn is equals to 64 minus 2 to the exponent of 6 minus n. 6 minus n is at the exponent. So the first question that says, determine T1 or the first term. What are you supposed to do here? Remember, T1 is the same as S1. T1 is the same as S1. For you to determine T1, you are going to replace where there is n, you replace by 1. Let me do it for you. It is S1 is equals to 64 minus 2, 6 minus 1. Then when you calculate everything there, you would find that the answer is 32. You can just use your own calculator. Then there is the second question also. You are supposed to determine the 12th term. Term number 12. You are supposed to determine term number 12. How do we determine term number 12? Term number 12, you must say S12 minus S11. When you are supposed to determine term number 12, you write S12 minus S11. If, for example, I said you are supposed to determine term number 15, you tell me it is S15 minus S14. If I ask you to determine term number 30, it will be S30 minus S29. If I ask you to determine term number 45, it will be S45 minus S44. I hope you get that one. Since here, you are supposed to calculate the 12th term, then you are supposed to determine S11 and also S12. When you get the difference, you are going to get the 12th term, which will be 1 over 64. It will be 1 over 64. Remember, I only made an illustration based on geometric sequence. The same question may come in arithmetic series, where the general form term, it will be in terms of Sn, which indicates that it's a general term for the series. So even this one, it was the general term of the series, but which is a geometric. The last part of the series, which is geometric, it is sum to infinity. Remember, sum to infinity is coming from geometric series. If you are interested, you can get any textbook and try and check how they drove this one from geometric series. The difference here with the geometric sequence is that we do not have the last term. In the place, after the last term, we are going to indicate by 3 dots. 3 dots indicates that the sequence continues or the series continues. In other words, we are saying it does not have an ending, but we are supposed to calculate the sum of the series. Remember, it is not always that we can be able to calculate the sum to infinity. There are some examples that we cannot calculate sum to infinity. Why? We can only calculate sum to infinity if the sequence is converging, and it converges when r is between -1 and also 1. But if it is less than 1 or greater than 1, the sequence will not converge. And it is also impossible. It is impossible for you to calculate some of that problem. Let me just give you 2 series that we can be able to calculate sum to infinity. The first term, it's 6, and I hope you are writing. Second one is 2. Third one is 2/3, 2 over 3, plus ... 3 dots indicates that it is sum to infinity. If we try to calculate the value of r here, we would find that the r is between -1 and 1. Therefore, the sequence converges. You can be able to calculate the sum to infinity. Then, the second one, I'm giving you the first term, which is 10, 5. Third term, which is 5 over 2, plus 3 dots. That indicates that the sequence continues. If we try to calculate the value of r, we say we get 5 divided by 10, our r, it will be half. Still, r is between -1 and 1. Therefore, the sequence converges. Let me give you an example of which the sequence cannot converge. If I give you 100 rands today, next month I give you 200. Next month I give you 400. Next month I give you 800. If I say calculate the total money that we get up to infinity, it is meaningless because the problem will be continuously be big. So we cannot be able to calculate sum to infinity in that example. Remember, I've just given you the series of the sum to infinity, but still, we can also use what we call the sigma notation. Let me just give you one example here. When you are given a sigma notation, on top of that sigma notation, in this sum to infinity, they are going to indicate by infinity sign. As mathematicians, I hope you know this one very well. Then, at the bottom, we are starting from 1 and it is r. R is equals to 1. And the general term, it is 3, open bracket, half to the exponent of r minus 1. How will we get the first 3 terms? In the first term, you replace r by 1. Second term, you replace r by 2. Third term, you replace r by 3. Then you are going to get the first 3 terms. Let me just give a summary in this way. A, it will be 6. R, it will be 1/3. How can we get the sum to infinity? It will be sum to infinity is equals to A over 1 minus R. A over 1 minus R, where the value of A is 6. R is 1 over 3. When you try to calculate, when you use a calculator, the answer that you're going to get, it will be 9. Let me also highlight something here. Sometimes, examiner may ask you to calculate the value of unknown of which the series will converge. Sometimes, you can be requested to calculate the value of the unknown of which the series will converge. Let me just give you an illustration here. We are given the first term, which is 4. The second term is 4 into 2x plus 1, close bracket. 4 into 2x plus 1, close bracket. The third term, 4 into 2x plus 1, close bracket, squared. You know that the value of A here is 4. And the value of R, if you try to calculate there, you would find the value of R to be 2x plus 1. How can you calculate the value of R? Remember, we are supposed to calculate the value of x of which the sequence will converge. How can you do this one? It is what? Minus 1 is less than R, and that R is less than 1. Minus 1 is less than R, and R is less than 1. In the place of R, we are going to replace by 2x plus 1. Then remember, you are going to take this one from both sides of the inequality signs. So in other words, on the other side you subtract, on the other side you subtract. After that you divide by 2. The complete answer that you're going to get, it will be minus 1 is less than x, and x is less than 0. Minus 1 is less than x, and x is less than 0. Then, there are also word problems that are also associated with geometric and also arithmetic series. Let me just read one for you here. Although I may not have enough time to work it, however, I'm going to give you the answer. It says, the radius of the first circle of an infinite sequence of circles is 10 centimeters. The radius of each of the following circle is 2/3 of the radius of the previous circle. What is the total area of all the circles formed? So remember, the first radius, the radius is 10. The second one, we just say 10 multiplied by 2/3. Then remember, for you to get the area of a circle is pi r squared. So when you calculate here, you are going to get 180 pi. It is 180 pi, and I hope you have written that one. You are going to work on your own, as long as you get 180 pi. The last one. On the first day of drilling, a driller reaches a depth of 120 meters. Each day, after he drills 2/3 of the previous depth, the previous day. So you are supposed to calculate the maximum depth. What can you do here? You should immediately know that it's sum to infinity. You write A over 1 minus R. Remember, the first is 120. And R, you get it to be 2/3. Then the answer, it will be 360 meters. It means the total meter, it will be 380 meters. I wish you well, and I hope you're going to prepare very well. since you are going to write examination, me too, when I'll be doing the next section on Saturday. Thank you.
We thank you so much, Mr. MF Marubini. I don't know. You okay?
I'm okay.
Oh, grand.
I'm okay. I have a lot of questions, but we would need like 3 hours.
We would need a lot of time to try and catch up with it. But thank you so much, sir, for taking your time and talking to us here today. And I do hope that the matriculants that were tuned in today also did grasp something from the lesson that you shared today. We really do thank you. Hashtag Kagiso Radio Teacher. We're going to be doing this again tomorrow between 5 and 6. Right now, however, Shutelanga Chauke on Progressive Talk. He's going to be hanging out with you all the way up until 8 o'clock, right? Feel free to hit us up on the social media at Dinkomo_@itubanda. And then, Mukel, you know what you gotta do, right?
No.
Wouldn't be tradition.
No. After that, okay. I do have a word.
All right.
3 dots means it's a continuous sequence or series.
It is a series to infinity.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's it.
All right. We out.
Capricorn FM News. Reliable and independent.